Okay, for today's lesson, we're going to begin learning about GIFs, how to create a really simple GIF, and then in the next lesson, we'll learn how to build it a little more from scratch. So the first GIF we're going to create is just using straight photographs. So before we begin, you're going to want to go into Google Classroom and download these 3 images. So when you download them, they will then appear in the download folder. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to File, Scripts, Load Files into Stack. So again, the way we are opening, there's 2 big differences in how we create a GIF. The first is how we open the images into Photoshop that we're going to use, and the second is how we save the file. Those are the 2 biggest differences. So we're going to go, this is again on the start page, we're going to go File, Scripts, Load Files into Stack. And then it's going to ask us, it's going to come up with the Load Layers dialog box. We're going to hit the Browse button, and because we just downloaded the images, they're going to be in our downloads. So here are the 3 images that I'm going to want. I'm going to hold down Command to select all 3 of them at once, and then I'm going to click Open. They're going to load into this center box, and then from there I'm going to put OK. Now it's going to take a moment, depending on the number of that you are bringing in, the amount of pictures. It's going to take a little bit longer because they are all loading at the same time. And here you see they load into order. There's the pairs 1, pairs 2, pairs 3, and they're all stacked on top of each other in the layer panel. Now for this next part, I'm going to be pulling up my timeline. Now the timeline is what you will use to do basically all of the GIFs. So all of our windows that aren't visible are always under the window menu in alphabetical order. So here's my timeline window that I'm going to pull up. Now you're going to see that it automatically by default will stretch across the bottom. Now let me see if I can bring it up a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to just move it up here so you can see the whole entire frame, or the whole entire window. Okay, so by default it will go across the bottom. I just grabbed a hold of it and moved it up a little bit because the bottom was being cut off and I need you to see the whole thing. Alright, so this is actually, when you first pull up the timeline, you're going to see this is a button here. You have 2 choices. You can actually do video in Photoshop, or you can do the frame animation. So we're actually doing the frame animation. We're not doing the video timeline. So you're going to do the drop down menu right here, change this to create frame animation, and then this is a button. So you're actually going to click your mouse on that button and it will turn into a frame animation. So now what we're going to do, and again, the process of doing this is relatively simple. Once you know the steps, it's really fast to do. And it's really fast to do, especially if you already have your images pre-selected and pre-edited. So my next part of what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this top right corner right here. These little lines indicate a menu. And I'm going to select make frames from layers. So that simply means it's going to take every layer in my layer stack and it's going to turn it into a frame on the timeline. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And you're going to see, here they are. There's the one with the bite out of it, 2 bites, 1 bite, and the first one. Now I could just take and drag them to organize them because they are backwards of the order that I want them in, but there's an option here in the menu to reverse them. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to select reverse frames to reverse the order of all of the frames in the timeline. Now this is a pretty common step that a lot of people forget to do. So you always want to check and make sure they're in the right order. sometimes by default they're backwards when you load them in. So I'm going to do reverse frames. All right, so this is the next part is where we do our timing. So at the bottom of each frame, you've got a timing option. I'm going to try 0.2. Now, if I hold down Command or Shift and select, hold on, I think it's Shift. If I hold down, Command or Shift or Control or Shift on the PC and select all of them, I can adjust the timing all at one time, or I can do them individually. And down here, this is my looping. I can have it play once, 3 times, or forever. It's going to put ours forever on the purpose of this class, so it plays over and over. And then I'm going to press play to preview it. Now, as I'm looking at this, I want it to pause just a touch longer on my last frame, so I'm going to change just that last one, and then I'm going to try and play it. Now it pauses just a tiny bit longer on that last frame. So you can play around with it, and of course, as you're designing your own GIFs, that the timing is an option for you. Now, when you're creating GIFs, we know that GIFs are made for technology. They're made to be viewed on the web. So we need to think about that when we're creating them and when we're saving them. If I were to go and save this normally, file save as, it's just simply going to save as a photograph. So in order to have it play properly on the internet, I'm going to go to File, Export, Save for Web Legacy. Now, it's very important to know this. It's very important to know where to find it and how to do this, because this is often a question that's asked on the Photoshop exam as well. So anytime you are saving for the web, you're going to go File, Export, Save for Web Legacy. And when you select that, you're going to get this fairly complex box that pops up to save in. We're going to change the size a little bit and just check a couple of things. Now, when you're saving for the web, you want things to be, if you want them, especially a GIF, to play fast, you're going to want to reduce the file size, or it's going to take, say if it was loading on a web page and it was this large, it might take longer to load, and we don't want that to happen, so we will be dropping the size down. I'm just going to double check. I'm going to see here it's named, or it's in the GIF format. I'm going to name it up here. Well, actually, I'm going to name it, leave it unnamed for now. And then I'm going to come down. This is the important part where it says image size. I'm going to adjust this. I'm going to put 200 for my width. No, I'm sorry. I'm going to put 400 for my width. Let my height adjust. And this is in pixels. And because these two are linked right here, I'm going to leave that link on. So when I put 400 for the width, the height will automatically adjust. Then I'm going to hit save. And then it will bring up the Save Optimize As here. You can leave it named that, or I'm just going to name it pairs. You never get rid of what's after the period if you're changing the name of something here. You never want to get rid of the .gif. You always want to leave that. And then I'm just going to save it back in my download, so I'm going to press save. Now at this point, I'm going to kind of show you when you go to, here's my downloads. No, that's my recent. Here's my downloads. So here you have my original 3 images that I began with, and then here's the GIF. If I am simply just to look at it like this, it looks as though it is a photograph. Now I'm gonna click on it. It's highlighted. I'm gonna hit the space bar. When I hit the space bar, you should see a preview of your GIF. Now, at this point, you can upload it to Google Classroom. If you have saved it properly, this preview will play when you upload it to Google Classroom. If it doesn't play, you have saved it wrong, and in order to get credit, you'll need to save it properly and upload again, because, again, importing and saving is a big part of the process when you're creating a GIF.